Maybe if I turn the mic on, it might help. Oh, one sec. I'm getting repeat from. Okay, that helps. Let me turn the audio off on. Okay, let me know you can still hear me. Oh my gosh. Yes, hello. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me. My name's Trudy Castle. I'm an artist in video games. Thank you very much to Lightbox Expo for asking me along to draw and for being a part of it. It's a huge, huge honor. I can't believe I had the audio off. This is very me. Yes, huge honor to be a part of this. I'm going to be sketching little. Uh-oh, I had messages from my sister coming up. Can you? You can definitely hear me right now, yeah? Okay. Yes. Okay, perfect. I'm going to be drawing the little prints here for the stream, which will be about an hour. I already started on it because I'm a little nervous, you know. I get a little nervous on these streams. This is only my third stream ever, and I actually started it when I found out I would be drawing. I'd be taking part in Lightbox. Yes, that's Biscuit behind. That's Biscuit's bum. That's the yellow blanket is covering up an extremely scratched up sofa there. So it's not just for aesthetic value. Okay, right. I better talk about how I got in. I want to make a disclaimer here that I have the old-fashioned route for how I got into video games, which was, of course, QA. That used to be the very common approach back then. So I don't know how much this will be relevant to people now, but I think there's still many aspects that would apply for now, for sure. Because back then there was no social media. There was just like no way to really reach developers. It was always like friend of a friend, uncle, something, you know, he works at, you know, EA or something. So yeah, just bear that in mind. So to start, I've been drawing my whole life. Always crayons, pencils, everything. I didn't actually get into digital for a long time. But I started playing video games around age 5. My dad had an Atari, and the very, very first game I ever played was Space Invaders, which again is like aging me a bit, I guess. But I absolutely loved it, and from there we went to, what was it, Spectrum? I think that was big in Europe. And then Master System. We were in the console wars back then. You had to pick one or the other, and we were Sega. So we had a Master System and a Mega Drive, Genesis, everywhere else. And then what was it? We were PlayStation. It went all the way through. But I remember the whole time. I remember when I first started like drawing and that. I thought people must, you know, make these games, like someone has to design them. So I knew very, very early on I wanted to draw for video games. It was either that or be a policewoman, which is quite a different, that would have been very different. And actually one of the reasons I wasn't a policewoman is because they didn't have any slots open. So if they had, I might have had an extremely different life, which is, yeah. Oh yes, this is a Green Hill Zone from Sonic for anyone that is listening. So yeah, my very first job in video games was EB Games, which at the time was known as Electronics Boutique. I remember I just walked in there and asked. I was at school still, was studying and everything, and I just asked, "You got any jobs going?" And they called me, like they wasn't sure, and then they called me back, and It's like they asked me to come into the stock room at the back, and it's kind of weird. And the moment I walked in, I was like, oh my god, look all these video games, and I was like just running along the rows. It was like this is PlayStation days. N64 had just come out, I think. No, it must have been out a while. And I remember like they just saw my excitement at all the games and freaking out, and they were just like, oh, you're hired. So that was cool. I was the only woman working at the shop for a while. I mean, it's so different now, and I'm glad it's different. But it was, I was only working there weekends, but I was having trouble keeping up with my schoolwork and everything. But it was a learning experience. I worked there over Christmas, which anyone that works retail over Christmas will know how stressful that can be. And it was fun. Like, I remember someone came in and we had, actually, do you know, it was around PlayStation 2, because the launch had happened, and we had a big load of empty boxes at the front of the store, and someone ran in and stole one of the boxes. You think the moment they'd have picked up the box, they'd have thought, oh, there's nothing in this because it's so light. But they ran off with it anyway, and we all just kind of went, oh, okay. And then just like about 10 minutes before the shop closed, the guy turns up again and just full power throws the box back into the store, which just kind of bounces along. He decided, I'll return this, I shouldn't have stolen this empty PlayStation 2 box. But anyway, I didn't stay there too long. I was there about half a year or something, and I thought, no, let me finish school. I did okay in my arts exam, not fantastic, but thankfully for the university that I went to, it's portfolio based. So I'd already had my interviews. They looked through the portfolios. I guess they saw promising stuff, so they I got a position there. It was called Cat's Hill. Sadly, my university's not there anymore. It's a block of flats now. Used to have a lovely lake and everything. Everyone there was fantastic too. But yeah, I went to university for 4 years. There was like 1 year where you study, you just do everything like woodwork, screen printing, everything was painting. It was a really great experience there, but it was all completely traditional artwork, which, I'm going to say does not prepare you at all for the games industry, which is purely digital. But I mean, again, this was way before, what do you call it, Cintiqs. I do remember the first tablet I got was a Wacom bamboo, and it was so rough it felt like drawing on sandpaper, that thing. But I think in the last year of university we finally started doing like digital artwork. Like, I remember a Flash project or something. I remember like the teacher was just like, okay, you gotta do this in Flash, off you go, goodbye. And like, I had no idea. And then at that time I started picking up Photoshop. I can't remember which version, it was a long time ago, and taught myself. And for anyone that's ever getting into a program like Photoshop, like, you actually, it's so daunting at first, but I only use like such a small part of it that I think, just use what you need. You'll like stumble across. This is what I should tell myself for Blender, because I really want to learn Blender, and I know a very basic amount, but the moment I don't touch it for like a day, I've forgotten all the controls and the shortcuts, and it's just like super daunting. But I should like listen to my own advice, Oh, I think I should mention I'm drawing on an iPad. My day job is always on a Cintiq in Photoshop, but all the sketches I do outside of work are all on this, because I like to sit elsewhere, because I spend the whole day in my chair, you know, get kind of backache and everything. So yeah, I really love this. This is, I call it my sketch machine, because I know people can do amazing finished artwork, but for me, that's why you get this sketchy style that I've got round to. You know, one of these days I'll sit down and properly try and learn it. But anyway, yep, went to university for 4 years, came out with a purely traditional portfolio, and yeah, I was not prepared, you know. I didn't have a clue like where to start for applying. My university's not there anymore anyway, but yeah, we didn't really get any like talks or anything on any of this. It's kind of, yeah, it's interesting. But I remember like applying to like publishing and stuff, and at that time they would ask, send your portfolio, so I'd have it all printed out and I'd send it in the mail. And you know, I remember I'd get it all back. It would be like so downhearted. They were just like, thank you, but no. So okay. But the very first commission job I got was for designing it was like a sock company, sock posters. And I remember they're like, we'll pay you, but if we meet in person, we can give you a big package of socks. So I met in central London at Canary Wharf with someone, and it was so weird. It's so sketchy now when I think about it. Like, we met at the bottom of the big escalators there, and this guy just turns up suddenly. He's dressed all in black, and he gives me a big bag, and it's just full of adult men's socks. They're all black, and he's like, thanks for your work, goodbye, and just walks off. And like, I remember like trying on the socks, and they like they were way too big. Oh, sorry, I saw you sitting there. Yeah, I should mention I studied illustration at university. Yeah, that's should have mentioned. But yeah, it was a learning experience. But it was actually, so I have a twin sister, Astrid Castle, and I think she was looking around online, and she saw EA, Electronic Arts website, and got in contact with a recruiter on there. They have like I'm not sure if it's changed, but their system for applying was like layers deep on there. Anyway, the lady was super nice, and she was like, well, the only jobs we've got right now are QA, quality assurance, and we drove all the way in for a interview, and it was like kind of like, I don't know, it was kind of crazy. There was lots of stuff you had to do for it. It wasn't easy. We didn't even like touch a console for this interview. It was like common sense stuff. But anyway, we both got the job. I was very glad. And we did that for 11 months, like driving. It was EA Chertsey. I don't think they're even there anymore. It's now Guildford. And we test games like, the first game we tested was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire on Game Boy Advance, DS, PS2, you know. And then I remember like this is where we started getting early builds of the Xbox 360. There wasn't PS3 yet, and I was like so excited. But the first game we played was like an NBA one, and the big tech at the time was like sweat technology, and like all the characters on there were just like sweating, and I was like, oh wow, is this what next gen is? I was like, okay. But it was actually Geometry Wars on the Xbox. So I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. But yeah, tested for 11 months. Oh yeah, the other game was We Love Katamari, which, because Namco were, I think their games were like published or something was happening, but we got to test that, and that was just a joy to test. Also, me and my Katamari, and I had the speed run locked down, so if we needed a build tested like from start to finish that you could play all the way through it and it wouldn't crash anything, it was me that had to do it. And I remember one lunch, it was like, yeah, it would take like 8 hours or something. It's probably a little less, but I couldn't move. I was sat there like playing this game start to finish. Someone would go get my lunch and I'd just eat it as it's loading, you know. It was crazy. But yeah, it was ultimately still not what I wanted to do. And then, like, I think like a month or two later, took a break, went to New York with the money we'd earned from that trip, and first time in North America, it was amazing. And then I saw Square Enix were looking for QA testers, and I was like, oh, I gotta be careful here, because if you start doing the same job over and over, you kind of, that becomes your portfolio. But anyway, I went into a room. There was like 10 other people, and there was like these big, thick, old dictionaries, English dictionaries, because it was a language one. Because the place down central London was, you know, it had EFIGs, which was English, French, Italian, German, Spanish. So all those testers were there. This was for the English one, which, you know, thankfully, I was like, I'm secure enough. I think I got this. And it was all grammar, spelling, a big block of text, and you had to go through it and note down. You had the dictionary there, because there was just some like really archaic words I'd never heard of before. So they're all there to check that they're real words, that everything's spelt right. And there was definitely a few ones that there was a passage they gave us, and they were like, you know, check for errors. And I remember like reading over it continuously, and it was like, there's no errors in this. And so I left it. Anyway, I was the only person out of the 10 that got the job, and I was like, okay, cool. I bet that was a trick question, you know, which I'm kind of enjoy. And I tested at Square Enix that classic Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus. Yeah, well, you had to watch every cutscene. You have to make sure it all loads. Fun fact: that game can be played with mouse and keyboards on the PlayStation 2 all the way through. And I was the person that did it, and I had to do it on every difficulty. So there you go. That game can be played that way. Yeah. Again, like I remember I was sitting there, it was lunch, I was sitting next to one of the other testers, and they said to me, oh, we were just chatting away, and he was like, oh yeah, this is just my summer job, then I'm going back to university after, like, you know, wow, I wouldn't do this full time, which is not a great thing to say, you know, because QA is a proper job and everything. But I guess I got a little downhearted myself, because I'd been to university and done art, and I was like, oh man, he's right, you know, this is, what am I doing? Like, poor mum and dad, they helped pay for university, and I was like, oh, I gotta use the, you know, I gotta use this degree. So I remember like a month or two later, after the game was finished, saying I was quitting, and they were like, oh no, come on, stay on. The game I would have tested next was Final Fantasy 12, and I was like, oh, I wish it would have been that game that I tested. But, you know, I was like, no, I'm done now. So after that, I took some time off, a few months, and panicked a bit, you know, like, what am I going to do? And then at Christmas, there was, you know, just big talks about, you know, in the family about wanting to find work. And I remember going on like a few video game websites and just randomly applying for a load of stuff. And because I had it's Square Enix UK. There was a studio, and I think it's still there, in London. What's that? Sorry. Is it possible for Illustrators background folks to join a company? Yeah, totally. No. Anyone can do it, but you can, like, and they normally have like good ways of they'll have like scripts for things you can do. Like, it's, you know, you don't just get thrown into it. It's it's I would highly recommend if you just want to join. Like, you learn so much in QA. It's great. I had great fun there. It would be stressful and stuff too, but for me, like, I wanted to get out of it purely because I had an illustration degree, and I was like, what am I doing? You know, I need to use this. So anyway, at Christmas, I applied to a load of game companies. Sadly, it was all, you know, I was applying for QA because that's what I now had experience in. And anyway, one of them was Crytek in Germany, Frankfurt, and in like 2nd of January, I got an email. I'd kind of forgotten that I applied there, and got an email in saying, hi, like, we'd like to do a phone interview with you for the QA position. And I was like, where's Crytek? And I looked it up and it was like, Germany. So anyway, I was like, yeah, okay. I was like 22, 23 at the time, so I was very open to moving there. And I passed the interview, and I happened to say on there, hey, do you need any other QA? I've got a twin sister, she's also got experience. And funnily enough, they did. And so my sister had an interview too, and then they said, okay, we'll fly you out to Germany to do an on-site interview. And yeah, we both got the job. So we both moved to Germany in April the 2nd, 2007. And that's where we started. That was the first year where I would eventually move on to do artwork, my first art job in games. But it started QA. It was QA on Crisis 1. And I remember in the QA department, I didn't know this, I had like the best like drivers, graphics cards, everything for the game. And I remember like sitting down and because you know they have to have, for PC games, they have to have it running on all different types to make sure it works. I didn't realize that I'd got lucky and was going to be testing it looking its best. And so like I'm like, wow, this game's amazing, wow. And I remember like looking over at someone else's screen and being like, wow, what is it? What, the game can look like that too? Oh yeah, so the company was English speaking. I did study German at school, but it was extremely basic. That's what I would say. So the company spoke English. Of course, tons of people were speaking German, but people were from all over there, Australia, America, all across Europe. So it was... And at the time, like everyone was pretty young. It was a huge learning experience there. I've still got great friends from there. No regrets. But I remember like, so the position was an intern QA, but that would turn, it was like one of these like golden opportunities. It would then, when you finish QA on Crisis 1, you can basically, they said, we'll train you up for any department you want in the company, which is like, I don't know how that position was even there. It was amazing. Oh, and so like I knew, I want to do artwork, and what positions are open? And I remember like we got on very well with the storyboard artist there. And I remember him just like popping his head in the door and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be needing some storyboard artists on the next project." It was an unannounced one that ultimately didn't come out, but it was like good training. And I remember being like, yep, that sounds great, I'll do storyboard, and no experience in it whatsoever. And but he was an amazing teacher, trained us up, got us. So my sister, twin sister, also did the same thing. It was absolutely amazing. Like, got to learn so much with him. Eric gonna get this wrong. He's Romanian German. Eric Desiderio, fantastic, hilarious person. I think might be in Munich now, but he taught so much and had a fantastic team that we were working with in Crytek. But ultimately, that project got cancelled, and so moved on to Crisis 2 art department, doing storyboards for that, and it would be. It was crazy. We'd do our own voice recording, or we'd get the actors in, and we'd be doing like the animatics, and then got to do like, I think, what was it? We did some concepting on there, and some of the most fun I had was like, like the screenshot renders you see for games. It would be for magazines, for online, where it'll have like enemies posing, and like we got to like do the little we'd sketch like it was going to be this enemy stands here on top of this guy, and then like sitting down and watching it getting built in the engine, which is the CryEngine, was absolutely amazing. Like, loved it. But yeah, like the big thing I learned from QA and there was crunch. That was my first crunch, and still the hardest crunch I've ever done. I think that's something to know. Like even like storyboarding, funnily enough, like you can get a script in, and yeah, you've got to get it all worked out. I remember one of the storyboard guys, he just stayed there overnight, slept in the office, like to get this whole thing done. And like sometimes you look back and you're like, was it really that? Did they really need it the next day? But there's always someone that says they do. So yeah. But I had a great time there. And then after I should say that it was a huge learning experience in terms of teamwork and everything as well, like how to like do presentations, which I was so nervous about. I still get a little nervous about presentations. Don't know why, because it's not like everyone wants to hear you. And like a lot of these people you're talking with, they're like your friends, you know. You make really good friends in video games because you've all got the same interests and everything. But yeah, teamwork was a huge part, like, because you're all in this together, you know. You all want to make like a really good game in the end. But yeah, I'd been there 4 years. Crisis 2 came out and Crisis 3 was starting development, and my boyfriend at the time got a job in Vancouver, Canada, Relic, and I applied there too, and had a kind of position that I'd be concepting on. So that was in 2011. Work visas. So here's one thing though, a degree, although they kind of seem in some ways almost pointless, because like, you know, whenever anyone's applying for the company I'm at now, they almost seem irrelevant, you know. Like I've never looked at anyone, when I'm looking at someone's portfolio, I never be like, oh wait a second, what degree do they have? Like I never do. But when you're moving countries, especially anywhere that you need a work visa, it's so handy. It's not necessary, but it can speed things along, because it makes you more of a skilled position for having it. So I would say, if you're looking to move abroad and you want to move a little quicker when all of everything opens up again, please, that super helps. So yeah, we both moved to Vancouver, Canada. I like fell in love instantly the moment I saw it. And funnily enough, my mum had lived here when she was young. She was Scottish, but she'd lived here for 5 years when she was young, and she'd talk about it over and over. And yeah, I like the moment I saw it. There's these big mountains here, and the moment I saw them, I grew up in London, flat, Frankfurt, completely flat, and then here, I'm looking out now, but it's so smoky. I can't see them, like, because the smoke's coming up from the States at the moment, because we're on the West Coast. And I fell in love with the city instantly. It's like such a young city as well. It's like, I think it was 130 years old or something. So I'm walking around going, what a clean city. Oh, look, London, you know, but it's funny. It's such an amazing place. Mountains, forest, ocean, and a city, like all right on the coast. I love it. But anyway, so my partner at the time, he continued work for Relic, but 2011 in Vancouver was a big year where a lot of companies like Rockstar and that, I think Ubisoft was here too. They all closed. So like I got here and like my job that had been hoping to do kind of got dismantled, so I couldn't do that. And all the big companies were closing down, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I moved to another country and now I don't even have a job. But I used that. It was only 2 weeks actually that I wasn't employed, so I used those 2 weeks to got a bicycle and cycled everywhere, learning the city, and it was great. And then there's a place down in an area called Gastown, and they were working on Halo Anniversary, which was like that. I guess it was a remake of Halo 1. and they were working on like like these kind of animatic cutscenes in the game story. I don't even know what you call them, but they needed some concept art and artwork for them. And so for 2 weeks I worked on it was just a contract job on Halo Anniversary, which was, I was like, okay, this is good. But I remember like I brought my Cintiq in to work, and the day that I was to take it home, sorry, I messed up this cup. The day that I was to take my Cintiq home was the Stanley Cup Riots. So Vancouver Canucks, which is the hockey team here, had got into the Stanley Cup Finals and all the way to the end, and it was against the Kings. Boo. And they won, and the Canucks lost. And as was, I didn't know, a tradition here, the fans, a lot of people rioted and just destroyed a load of places, including like my favorite bookshop, and destroyed it as in they smashed the windows in. But I remember I was meant to take my Cintiq back, and I asked them, can I come back at a later date, please? Because I remember walking back through it all, and there's like smoke bombs going off. There was a car flipped over on fire. I remember being like, oh, well, I thought Canadians were meant to be like really calm and polite and everything, but it was like purely that. There was a lot of sadness involved with the fans here. And then the very next day, already, there was people out, like just like, random lovely people out cleaning up. I remember like my local coffee shop at the time, which was Blends, which is like an American, Canadian kind of Starbucks. They were already changing the glass in their window, so I was very glad. Poor Blends. But yeah, like, so after that I just started, I do like random, oh my gosh, why am I struggling with this cup? I do like random freelance and like for a few months, I'm just gonna forget this cup, ignore it for now. So I started doing work for Fantasy Flight Games. They're great. If there's a very specific style for them, like rendering wise, like if you look for our website. But they added me to like they said, we'll add you to the database and we'll let you know when something comes along. And then the very next day they were like, hello, we're going to be doing Lord of the Rings. We're doing some Lord of the Rings cards, which for me was like, oh my god, I'm such a fan, like cool. And yeah, I started doing like a load of the rings. But I remember like one of the cards was like, it was an image of a key, but they wanted a hobbit's foot also in the full frame. I'm not the biggest feet person, and it had to be a foot covered in hair. And yeah, how much fun that was. But it was really good experience. Didn't get paid a ton, so I was very lucky to be living with someone that was still helping, pay the bills. But it was a good experience, nice to have on the portfolio. What else was I doing? I'm trying to think. I started doing a load of freelance, but ultimately, social media was starting to become a bigger thing. Like Facebook was big, but I mean, you wouldn't go there to look for jobs. So at the time, I know people still use it. I don't really use it anymore, but LinkedIn was my big thing. I would request people, and especially local developers in Vancouver. And I'd end up like, some of them were so open, so friendly, like, hi, want to meet for coffee? And I'd be like, sure, that sounds great. And I'd just go out, meet so many different people here, just chat about games and everything, potential for future. And at the same time, I was also building up my portfolio. I was like constantly drawing still. And I don't know, like I found, and I still do find, that Vancouver is an extremely, I don't know, I find it extremely inspirational. And so I was always drawing in my free time, lots of landscapes and everything. But anyway, one of the artists, oh, sorry, I just saw a very unintentional tangent there. It was actually through LinkedIn. that I got my first full-time job here at a mobile game company called Eastside Games. One of the artists there messaged me and said, hey, we're looking for a 2D artist to do some assets. And I did a test. And I got the position, and I was like so excited. And that started my career path in Vancouver for mobile gaming, which was something that I had never considered, because when I moved to Vancouver, 2011, I didn't have a smartphone. I got one that year, and smartphones were now becoming big, which is an iPhone for me at the time. And suddenly, it's crazy. Like, suddenly mobile games, Facebook games were all becoming big. And the best thing about that was all the different kinds of art styles. It wasn't you didn't have to look like, there was such a big common style in games at the time that you had to photo bash and have like extremely realistic artwork. And of course, I'd come from Crytek, that was known for realistic graphics, and as you can see from what I'm sketching right now, it's not my strongest point. Of course, I was doing storyboards there anyway, so that was fine. But mobile gaming, I think, opened up like all different types of artwork, and I think opened up for a lot more artists to join. And another big thing I noticed was suddenly I was seeing way more women at these companies, which Crytek at the time, it was like 300 and there was maybe 10 women, you know. And when my sister and I joined, we were the only 2 women in the development team out of 70, you know, which was crazy, and it's definitely not a thing now, but at the time it was. So yeah, I was super pleased to see like a more diverse development team in mobile gaming. So the company I started at, Eastside Games here, and then I got poached from them to work at DNA, which was a Japanese company who now make like Nintendo games, like the Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, I think it is, like the Mario Run game, all these things. But I would say one of the most important things with this is I was like making a lot of friends and colleagues across all these different companies, which I would say is super, super important. Like just getting to know people. And of course now that's done kind of through social media, you know, like again, at the time I didn't have that. I think I was using DeviantArt and Blogspot. CG Hub as well was another one, doing the challenges there. But that was like my form of social media. And I was getting to know all these different people, super talented developers, like designers, audio people, programmers, QA, you know, everything. So at DNA it was, because it's in Vancouver, Canada, it was all spoken English, and even the Japanese colleagues I had, they all spoke English too. So, and we did, they also had translators there just in case, but it all worked absolutely fine. It was all great. So I actually got to go to New York Comic Con through DNA, and that's how I first ever met Bobby Chu there from Schoolism. And I was like such a huge fan. It was like 2012, running along the artist alley there. I was like picking up business cards and stuff. It was for work, you know. It was all for work. But yeah, I remember seeing Bobby Chu there and just bought some prints. I was like, oh, I'm such a big fan, you know. And who knew years later I'd be doing this? Like, yeah, crazy honored. But yeah, it was mobile gaming, so the games were all free, but it's all about monetization, and it wasn't super my thing. But anyway, that's the thing. Like, you won't. At least for me, you don't necessarily land straight in your dream job, you know? Like, I'm working my way up. I was doing like storyboard and QA, like just random game assets, you know? Like you're a concept artist joke, but yeah, you're going to be asked to draw a crate of barrels. You're going to be asked to draw lots of random stuff. Like, I always joke, like, if I was ever a transformer, I'd be like a garage or something, you know? Like, everyone's you think you're going to start off as like a fighter plane or something, but you actually just start off as like a very normal object, you know, like, yeah. So a great friend I worked with, we started the same day, Jen, and Mech Bunnies online, that's where she goes by. We started the same day at DNA, worked together, and then she got poached to a company called Thinking Ape, which is an absolutely lovely mobile game studio here in Vancouver. And she worked there for a while, and you know, we're great friends, so we would hang out all the time. Did I draw rocks? Oh, you bet I drew rocks. So many rocks. How many cliffs do you need? And yeah, she knew I was getting a little bit unhappy there, and then she was kind of messaged and was like, hey, how about you want to come along to a Thinking Ape? And like, again, this is like so important, like just having previous colleagues, getting on well with people, crazy important. And so yeah, that was like, I think the best interview I've ever had. Like, well, it started off wrong. I cycled across town to their studio, which was in Gastown as well at the time, and as I was cycling over, it poured down with rain, and I arrived there completely soaked, and I remember just standing outside being like, what do? I've got to go in. But again, like, I walk in there, and an old colleague of mine was working there, and he saw me like step in. He was from Eastside Games, and he just ran across the whole studio in front of everyone and gave me the biggest hug. And I was like, oh, this is off to a good start, you know, like. And of course I knew Jen too, and my interview was so kind of crazy. It was almost like them telling me like how great it would be to work there. And like, I mean, it was funny, like in my head I'd already just, if I get this job, I'm 100% like gonna start here. And then it was them kind of selling it to me. And I was like, yeah, you know, and I'm kind of, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds interesting, you know. But anyway, I worked at a Thinking Ape for a few years. Absolutely fantastic company. Also, one thing I should note is if you want to continue doing freelance, you need to be very upfront with that. If you're working full-time at a studio, like a full-time position, because I always wanted to make sure that I was still doing freelance on the side, just because I enjoyed it a lot still. But I will say my social life suffered terribly. Like, there was a few years I would finish work, get home and work all evening, and somehow play video games. I have no idea how I did all of that at the time, but you know, any of my friends will know I didn't hang out as much because I was working so hard. So work-life balance, super important. But yeah, it's good to tell your company that you want to continue doing freelance, and make sure that they're okay with that. And if you're not happy with it, you got to decide, you know, is this what I want? And like, normally the company's fine, it's great. So anyway, I started doing, while I was at DNA, when I was at Thinking Ape, I started doing, I hear Chemical Plant Zone from Sonic 2. I started doing freelance for some indie games. Indie games were starting to become a thing, you know, like The Long Dark, and oh man, I'm on the wrong layer. And yeah, like I'd seen the Kickstarter for The Long Dark, and then suddenly the art director messaged me and was like, you know, would you like to work on this? And I was like, yes, please. So suddenly I was doing like a load of concept art for The Long Dark, and I love the art style and everything. It was, helped bring a load of colour into that game. It was very white, black and green at the start. It was great fun, amazing art style. And then I was doing games like Jenny LeClue, which is another fantastic game, and I think that's on like mobile and everything. And then I saw like a Kickstarter for a game called Darkest Dungeon, and I remember like seeing the artwork and like sharing it around the artist, being, you gotta check this out, look at this game, amazing. And I think like a year or two later it came out in early access, and I played it, and I remember just being like, oh, this is fantastic. I'm going to do... don't ask why. I didn't do a fan art of the game. Instead, I did, I drew all these little characters called the Coffee Crew. And I did, like, my little coffee mage or something. I did it in the style, what I thought at the time was the style of Darkest Dungeon. And I've since, like, got way, way better. The art director, and I posted it on Twitter, which Twitter, weirdly enough, is where I've got a load of my, at the time, like, what do you call it? Freelance artwork from. And the art director, Chris Barassa, messaged me and asked, he liked the picture, and he asked if I wanted to do these backstory comics for Darkest Dungeon. And I remember, don't ask why, there's weird the things you remember. I was sitting in the vet at the time with Cookie, and I remember like looking down at my phone and seeing this and just being, the vet was like examining her, and I just went, oh my god, and like really loud, and they were like, oh, is it okay? And I was like, oh no, oh, it was just something on my phone. Yeah, like it was so stupid. And yeah, for I think that was 2015, I started doing all the backstory comics on Darkest Dungeon, and I think like PAX, Penny Arcade Expo, which started this weekend, I think. Yeah, there was Darkest Dungeon was showing there because the game wasn't out in full release yet; it was still early access, and so I got to meet like the art director there, and it's really like meeting someone's face to face with all this. I mean, like obviously it's a bit hard right now, but that was excellent. And yeah, we'd go get coffees, and then he said, I actually need some more assets done for the game. There was a new update coming, and so I started just doing more like little assets for the game, little story pictures. And then at some point, I was still working for a Thinking Ape at the time, and then at some point Chris said to me, you know what, we've actually got enough work that you could join us full-time if you wanted. And yeah, suddenly 2017 I started working full-time for Darkest Dungeon, and at the time we didn't have an office, and so I was working from home, and it was such a great experience. I got to go to countries like Poland, Switzerland, do these talks on the game itself. It was like absolutely fantastic. Sorry, I realised I'm not drawing enough. This is what happens. Like one of these days, I'll turn the camera off one of these days and just draw, because I find when the camera's on, I feel rude if I'm not kind of looking up. Oh, I started. Do you have any advice on how to transition into doing concept art? What should I look? So my portfolio doesn't have it, but I guess because I've gone here. But like the main thing you want to see for concept art is iteration. So if you're drawing like you're drawing some crates, let's see some variations of those crates. And color-wise, like it's kind of crazy that with concept art, it doesn't have to be the absolute best drawing it is, but I want to see ideas, you know, like I want to see like just a lot of variation, textures. Also, like I guess like this is such a like we see a lot of portfolios and stuff, and there was like a trend for a while of environment art, because I'm an environment concept artist especially, that you would see like, you know, the super sharp floating mountains and all this sort of stuff, but because that's the common thing of the time, you know, like that's what people were doing. Okay, that's the trend I see, like on CG Hub at the time, and probably ArtStation. I have an ArtStation. I should, one of these days I'll update it. But like whenever you see the common trends, I think it's okay to do a common trend, but bring your spin. Like just because sharp floating mountains are a thing, I would say you can do that, but like bring your spin to it. So like I realized at some point, like I think it was like in October or something, I did like, I really enjoy drawing food, and I kind of enjoy drawing silly things. And so like if you can bring like a little bit of something that you enjoy into the work you're doing, I'm not saying like I'm gonna draw a smiley face on every crate as much as I'd love to. Like bringing that in is so incredibly helpful, like because, you know, whenever we've hired artists since, like will look at their portfolio and like they've got all the fundamentals. All of that is incredibly important. Being able to like life draw and everything, as boring as it might be or whatever for some people, is so important. So like it's knowing, you can see that they know the fundamentals but can put a spin on everything. So yeah, I think all of that incredibly important. Like bring your own what you want. Yeah, I would draw a ramen unicorn marshmallow robot. You know what? Would love it. I would love that. Whether you're into like, and it doesn't have to be cute or cool. Like I wish that I could draw cool stuff. So like my day job, like drawing on Darkest Dungeon 2, which we're working on. Of course, it does not have the smiley faces and all the cute stuff, and it's actually a very different art style. So actually, I think my number one thing I would say for doing concept art, if it's what you want, is to like I would consider myself a chameleon artist. I'm able to jump between different art styles. And I think that is incredibly important, especially if you really want to do like, you want to work on lots of different, lots of different games. If you can like adapt to another game's art style, like that is incredibly important. You'll get way more work through that. So like I was able to go from doing realistic work on Crisis-ish, I wasn't that great at it, to Long Dark, which was all like the lasso tool, but was it? Anyway, like super stark, way more kind of flat, but like yeah. Then like for mobile games, there's still a kind of style, you know, that kind of bubbly, kind of rendered, lots of, and like, you know, jump between Flash, Photoshop. Never learned Illustrator though, which I should have. You know, maybe that's more for UI. But still nice, especially in mobile games. And yeah, like Jenny LeClue, like Darkest Dungeon, like I feel like I'm still learning the Darkest Dungeon style, which is like a kind of woodcut thing, woodcut kind of style. But yeah, I don't know. I would say being able to adapt to lots of art styles, incredibly important, and it keeps everything fun. Like all this stuff you see in my free time, like this is, I guess, is my style, but it's more for loose work, you know. Like I can still adapt to other styles, but this is just how I enjoy drawing because it's quick and I can get something out there and post it. But there's a huge amount of fun in learning, like doing another style. I remember someone telling me, hey, you should at least be able to do 6 different styles, and I'm just sitting there going, oh, that's crazy, you know. But actually it's weird. How do you get a job if you're doing different styles than what you have in your portfolio? So for your portfolio, aim it for who you're applying for. So like if you're applying to Blizzard, you wouldn't have like super realistic artwork or super cartoony. It's weird though, because like you want to have a mix. I say have a mix, and then that shows them as well that you can adapt. Like I don't know, because like, you know, like I guess when my artwork was seen for Darkest Dungeon, like I wasn't drawing in the style of Darkest Dungeon. I just happened to, for that fan art, which showed that I could adapt to it. I've just gotten crazy lucky. That's how I always feel with everything. Sorry, I'm just checking. A promising portfolio, yeah. I don't know, like the whole thing with like getting into college and that now, like there's so many amazing resources out there, like Schoolism, like all these online courses. Again, like if I was looking, like whenever we've had artists apply, like I don't even check what their degree is, what school they went to. I purely look at their portfolio and see what they, you know, what styles they do. Because like, I mean, like I want to see a trace at least of the style that we're doing or something. I don't know. I think being able to adapt styles, but showing you have a portfolio. This is such like a scattergun approach. Like, just if you could just do it all, that would be great. You know, that's not what I mean. Like I would say obviously apply somewhere that you're interested in and you enjoy doing that style. Because if you love more cartoony stuff and you apply for like to work on a Call of Duty concept art, like you're just not going to enjoy it. If you get it, you're not going to enjoy it. And like I happen to enjoy, as much as I draw cutesy cartoony stuff in the day, like I also happen to really enjoy drawing just super nasty, grim, horrible things on Darkest Dungeon too. So it's like it all depends on what you're interested in. Like obviously when you first start off, you don't always get the chance to just work on what you love, like you have to work your way up. But I would say with indie games, with Twitter, like you can now reach out to people. You can now my idol growing up was Amy Hennig, who worked at the time when I first came across this stuff, worked on the Soul Reaver games, and then she went on to Uncharted at Naughty Dog, wrote all those, the creative director and everything. And like now the fact that I can just follow her on Twitter is crazy. Like Joe, I'm gonna pronounce his surname wrong, Joe Madura. I used to read his Uncanny X-Men growing up, and I saw him on Twitter and followed, and then I think I saw that he was already following me, and like it was like one of those like mind blown moments, because it's like oh my gosh, I used to follow you. Like I'm extreme fangirl over so many artists, but I think it's also very important to like I don't follow people, oh it's a name, like you follow people because you like their work. You connect with people online because you like what they do. You might like, some of the pictures they post. Like me, for social media, all I post is artwork, normally mountain pictures when they're not smoky, food, video games, and my cats. I keep away from all political, any like kind of drama that's going on. That's just personally, I just don't use social media for that, because I would note future employers, they might look, especially now, I gotta say I do, like might go check how you are on social media, other than say like love your portfolio, great portfolio, but I have to check out what someone's like on social media, because like you're going to be working with these people and you've got to hope that they're a lovely person, because again, portfolio is super important, but especially if you're working with a team, like teamwork and getting on well with people is just incredibly important. And I've been extremely fortunate, especially Red Hook on Darkest Dungeon, that everyone there is absolutely fantastic and now like close friends, people definitely look at socials. I do anyway. Maybe I'm just a very nosy person, but I think for sure people are checking out all that. So just something to bear in mind. Like, I guess I'm sure everyone here is absolutely lovely, but like, being a troll or just being, I'm not against like people posting political stuff and that. It's just, I guess it's more how you're treating people online, because if you're treating people rudely or horrible, like you're like, I gotta work with this person. Oh my gosh, wait, do I see Tiff here? Would I work with Asti again? I would 100% work with Asti again. I want Asti to move here to Canada, please. I'll get her in. I'm a citizen now. That's how much I loved it here. I'm a citizen. She just needs to just move here. What, easy, right? I would help her in. Oh my gosh, I've got 1 minute left. I could stay on for a little bit, but like for anyone that will be hopping over to another stream or anything, thank you very, very, very much for coming along and watching me here. Oh my gosh, there's quite a few people watching. I could stay on for a bit. I can finish this picture if you want. I feel like I've barely drew anything. But yeah, thank you very much for being here, anyone that's got to go. Huge honor doing this whole thing. I can be on if anyone wants to ask some questions. Whoops. I'm getting messages. I always thought my messages popping up on my iPad. Yeah. Where do we find all your socials? Oh gosh. This is on Twitch, so it should be on my Twitch about page. I hope so. Like, this is only my third stream, so if it's not on there, I'll definitely update. But I'm like, oh my gosh, I should put this. One amazing important thing is keep your same name across all your socials. So like, I joined Instagram a long time ago as lady_T, like the drink, and only posted pictures of my socks and Vancouver, and then at some point joined Twitter, and I was like, oh, use my name. And yeah, it's super important to keep the same name across everything, because then when people are trying to find you, they'll find you a lot easier. Like, yeah, my name is different across everything. Lady Truds was on Blogspot, you know, like, it's crazy important. Is it a bad thing if you don't have socials? I don't think so. Like, if you're applying to companies through their main website and that, I don't think it's a problem. We have some of the artists in my company, they do not have social media across everything at all. Some of them, like one of the guys I know, doesn't have it anywhere. But he got in because he worked with the art director years ago. So that, you know, that's connections in another way. But I mean, I don't think it's super important. I think if you want to sell yourself though, and get your work out there a lot more, like, again, like I got my Red Hook job through Twitter, you know, like, it's kind of crazy. I've got a load of my I got to work on a kid's book. I'm gonna be doing some stuff for some other companies, and that's all been done through like Twitter, Instagram. So yeah, I don't know that you have to have a social. I would say if you want to sell yourself a bit more, not in a good way, not selling yourself, but I think it's important. I think it's important, but you don't have to. Let's see, other questions. How did I join the Darkest Dungeon team? Oh, I mentioned this earlier, but I had posted a fan art and on Twitter, and the art director contacted me, and that's how I got to work for them. Oh, socials for mandatory for for freelance. If you're freelancing, I'd say so. Yeah, you'd need it for sure. Thankfully, I do not have to freelance as much anymore. But I personally love studio work from my home right now. I'm the Darkest Dungeon's #2 fan artist. Yes, thank you, Dana. Yeah, I'm such a big fan of the game. Like, hopefully one of these days I'll get a job there, you know, fingers crossed. I would say, like having a website as well, you know, like that helps too. But I think loads of artists now, they have like their art stations, just some place where you can look for it all. Yeah, actually, do you know, I think we hired someone purely from their art station. A lot of places will make you, if they like what they see, but they don't quite see enough of the style of their studio, they'll get you to do a test, which we've done for all of our artists. Actually, I guess I'm the only artist that didn't do a test, but it was kind of, But lovely places will pay you to do a test. Yeah, I don't know. I think having a website isn't as important anymore, but like, if you do have one, try and keep it updated. I only updated mine like a little while ago, which I think it's so old on there. I think it had like my first like Darkest Dungeon comics on there, and like nothing else. None of the assets are done or anything. So yeah, if you're gonna have anywhere, keep it updated. Like if someone applies and I see that they like on their Twitter and they last updated in like 2017, I might be like, oh yeah, that's Final Fantasy VII's battle. Yeah, it's battle music. Yeah. Do you think internships help with getting into the industry? I mean, my sister and I did an internship, and thankfully it was paid. You know, it was again, that job at Crytek was so crazy. They're like, we'll move you to another country. We will pay for your accommodation for a year while you're on the internship. You'll do QA, and then you get to branch out into whichever part of the studio you like. Like, how does that even happen? You know, does that even happen anymore? Like, yeah, crazy. Crytek was a very big learning experience, but I'm forever grateful for all the for all those amazing opportunities it gave me there. I think Instagram is not as professional. Yeah, I would say. I mean, Instagram is for all sorts of things, and like if I'm like, for example, I sold some prints recently, and despite having like crazy following on Instagram, I got one print sold there, and then when I posted it on Twitter, I made money from there. So it's follow accounts, like no one's gonna hire you because they've got loads of followers. They're gonna hire you because they like your work. I have a simple question. I make a lot of different characters and sometimes feel trapped between showing lots of characters or here's my best. Variety and quantity. I think it depends if you're going to be, are you concepting or not? If you want to be a concept artist, then variety is key. Like I want to see all different, I want to see all types of artwork for that, all different types of characters. So, I mean, like along the way, like you'll be, hopefully, you know, as you're drawing it, it'll look great anyway. So if you want to do concept art, variety is key. It's kind of like, it's not like quantity over quality. Obviously, we still want to see it to look great and everything. But yeah, it's iteration as well. So if you take a character, like I'm drawing these silly little coffee crew characters, and the way I first draw them is actually quite different to how I draw them now, and it's just changed over time. So one of these days I'll do like a little side by side comparison or something, because like Cupperbot used to have like tiny eyes and her mouth went all the way around the mug, and then at some point I just got lazy and cut off her mouth, make the eyes bigger, you know, like it's just iteration stuff you see over time. How do you network on Twitter? Oh, sorry, I missed it. I think, I don't know, because I've never even thought about it, you know, I just do it. I like, so first of all, I follow the artists I like, or just like people I like posting, I like their work. So there's been like artists that I've followed and then their feed is actually either never artwork or extremely kind of negative, and I've unfollowed because it's not important to me they're working on this big game. It's more that I really like the stuff. I can see Asti's saying it 100%. Ast, I'd say don't be over familiar. I've definitely had people like, I'm joking, especially like me and my mate Jen, Mech Bunnies, will joke, and Asti will joke a lot online, and because I know them in person especially, and sometimes you can have people join in the conversation that also act over familiar and also kind of rude, and it's suddenly that a big step backwards, like excuse me, you know. So like being friendly, you know, like I guess like if you like what someone's drawing or saying, like just commenting, not doing it on every single post they do every time, but I guess like that's how I've got to know a lot of wonderful people on Twitter. They don't have to be famous, they don't have to be, I just like what they post. Like if someone's building a load of Gundam robots, I'm happy to follow that, you know. Like I'm following some, I don't really say it's Samoyeds, those big fluffy white dogs. There's like a Twitter account that posts them in Scotland, I think Edinburgh in specific, and I'm just like following that recently. I love it. But yeah, like not, it sounds simple, just don't be weird, you know, don't scare people, and be nice. Yeah, let me see. I keep getting great reviews on my portfolio when I meet people in person, but never transfers to an art test or interview. I'm not sure. I'd just say keep going, keep working on it. Like, maybe just make sure whoever you're applying for, your artwork is suitable for whatever they're doing, whatever their product game is. Maybe it's, I don't know, it's hard. Like my first in-person portfolio review for my stuff, it was like harsh. It was in Berlin at some big, what was it? It was some big game event, and no, it was just art event, not game. And yeah, I don't know. It was kind of harsh, but super great. Also, if you do it in person, whenever this happens again, you do it in person portfolio review, or you meet someone, it just like this. I shouldn't have to say it, but like just basic, like introduce yourself, say hi, I'm whatever, and say hello, pleasure to meet you. Like, because I've seen many portfolio reviews where the artist comes along and they either throw down their iPad or their physical portfolio and are just going to grunt and like, here it is, and like it's not. I remember, like, I think I got off on a good terms with the guy that looked through my portfolio because I introduced myself, and he even said to me, like, you're the first person that's actually said hello to me, which is kind of crazy, you know. Oh, Made in Berlin, that's it, yeah. Weirdly enough, I don't put hashtags on Twitter. I don't know if they work or not. The only one I do is like Throwback Thursday, because I'm lazy and can't bother to take it out. If you look on my Instagram, it's like hashtag galore, so many hashtags. Yeah, I don't know, I think it's super not important to have it. I think if you, I don't know, I actually have no idea. I've never really used the hashtags on Twitter. Actually, yeah, maybe use them. I feel like I stumble through all these social medias and somehow get people to follow me. It's all a mystery to me how it all works. I feel bad. Like, I wish I had better news for you, or more clear information for how it all works. But I always feel like I've got lucky, and like whenever people are like, let's get off of here and move to a new social media, I'm like, oh god. Like the idea of starting some of these again, like I don't even know what I'd do if I even would. Like, yeah, social media can be extremely tiring too. And I've actually made a point more recently. Asti got me onto it. There's an amazing thing on Netflix called The Social Dilemma, about how much time and the kind of dangers of social media. But again, like that was very, it was like not negative, it was like kind of realistic, but there's good things can come from social media too, like jobs, like, I don't know, I think there's good things to it, but I don't spend all my time on there or anything. I forgot to give this cup a smiley face. Gasp. I'll probably be done very soon. Let's see. Oh, Final Fantasy music. I think it's totally fine to just post your stuff. I will say though, on social media, I personally like it when an artist responds if someone leaves a comment, and that can end up being me going through the comments going, thanks, thank you, cheers, but like, I think it's just polite, It'd be like if someone came up to you in real life and said, love this picture, and you just went, like, I don't know, like, just respond, just say something. It's like nice to just have a little comment, like, because I definitely do see a few artists online that they post but they never respond, and I think I guess that helps with growing your community, like to just leave a little response, even if it really is just thanks. That means like, you actually saw and acknowledged, and like if someone took the time to just on their endless scrolling to just be like, leave a little comment, they stopped. If you get any trolls or super negative comments, I just ignore it. I'm not going to engage. There's that whole feed the troll thing. Like, don't engage. It's not worth it. Then they want a response. That's how I've got through everything. I think only once or twice did I ever actually. Doesn't mean I won't like freak out about it offline and be like, how dare they? Oh, they're so rude, you know. But like, people are a lot more. They have more courage online when they're not face to face with someone, you know. What's your advice for people who work on not game-related jobs but also want to become a concept artist? Do you mean like also like animation or stuff? Again, like I'd say, having a portfolio that just shows a variety of styles and assets. Like you might join as an environment concept artist, but you'll most likely get to work on a variety of things. Like you might have to do some icons, you might have to do some characters. So if you want to, it depends. Like if you really want to, you know, if you really can't draw characters, that's totally fine. Like there are concept artists purely for that. Yeah, I think just having a portfolio with a variety of assets, backgrounds and styles would be super important. That's what I would be looking for. Is fan art good to put in a portfolio? I don't know that I have any fan art in my portfolio, which I feel like it's all I draw half the time. I think so personally, like, because I'm not for concept art. I mean, you can have it in there, have it in a separate you can have a fan art section. Because that's still showing your approach to a character, especially if it's done in a very different style. So if you're doing, as I love, like Dragon Ball Z, like having it in like a completely different style is like, that's your take, that's cool, that's interesting. And then just how it's rendered, everything. But I would probably still keep it in a different section. Just because, especially for concept art, I want to see what you can do. And you know, like fan art is something that's already created, I'd say. But I love it. I love drawing my Zelda Link fan art. I keep hearing that we should only have 10 polished pieces on ArtStation. As someone who doesn't use ArtStation enough, I don't know, because like 10 polished is saying like these are final, this is a final image. But like if you're doing concept art, it's not about final rendered images, it's about process, it's about ideas. So, and I think a lot of people get confused because like there's different types of artists in games. So you have the artists, like, you know, when you see these art books now, there's like at Crytek we had it, there's an artist that purely was like more for the high rendered concept art, and then you'd have like the grunt work concept artists that are like, their stuff's not as beautiful to look at, but that's where all the ideas are generated from. Like I'd say for having 10 pieces on ArtStation, that's more like if you want to do illustration, if you want to work for Magic the Gathering, Fantasy Flight Games, like that's super important there. And you can have like your different art styles. But yeah, I don't know. I think I don't use ArtStation enough to know, but like, can you have like different folders? Like, I guess like the pages, you could have like a project in a one thing, like having all different, like, so say, okay, if you're drawing like in that whole thread, if you're having a final piece at the end, I want to see all the iterations that you got to there. And that could even be like the characters or the environments, you know, like lots of thumbnails. I'm always sometimes I get a bit overboard with concepts. Like if I have to draw a tree, you know, like I love doing multiple versions of that tree. Yeah, sometimes I get a bit carried away. Like one of the worst things of concept art is like you kind of got a gut feeling sometimes when you're drawing, and you in your head you're like, oh, I need to draw, I got to have at least 10 thumbnails, but sometimes you nail it on the second one, but you still will go through the whole process, and then when you show it to the art director, they'll point at the one that you knew, and then you still do all the others. But it's like such a good, it's a good learning experience. Like, it's funny how like your gut tells you a lot. She's also telling me that I'm hungry right now. Oh, I got some Max Pack things on here. His brushes are so amazing. I've been playing around a lot more recently with his stuff, so you can watch how like I just cobble together some of these images. So I'm like, I just want to have a load of this here, and then I literally will just go through the layers and see something I like, you know. There's no magic. Sometimes I'm just like, I mean, like obviously I know what the layers do and like what works, but sometimes, especially when you're just really playing around, it's fun. I've been loving some color burn recently, which is something I never thought I'd say whatsoever. Look, is there a good way to get noticed by people in the industry? I'd say for me, being active on social media, like posting, and kind of, it's not to say that quantity over quality, but kind of fairly regularly, like, and it's funny, like when people post art, I can tell that when they've enjoyed what they drew, you know, like, just enjoy what you draw, you know, like, and like, it's hard. Like, I can see people that have drawn stuff and they've drawn it because that's the trend or that. But if you really enjoy what you're doing, I feel like it shines through in the artwork. So have fun with what you're doing and just keep going. Like it's a long haul thing. It doesn't always happen straight away. Like I always feel like I've luckily stumbled into things. But I remember like clearly thinking, oh, I'm never gonna work in games. I'm never gonna be paid to draw for a living. And thankfully, it just finally got around to it. Oh, I will say, yeah, so on a website, don't have too much artwork then. Also, lead with your favourite work. Lead with your strongest. Don't just be like, well, I better post this here. Like, lead with what you are most proud of. And again, if you're applying for like Blizzard or a certain company, make sure you've got the relevant kind of art styles there at the start. I'm just reading the comments, sorry. What's my favourite project job you've had the chance to work on? Oh, it's Darkest Dungeon. That's my favourite. I love it. Absolutely love it. And I continue to love it. I'm still working on it, working on the sequel. Yeah, like I've said it to the art director before, this is my dream job. Like I'm very, very happy to be working on it. I've definitely drawn my fair share of crates and stuff in the past, and I'm happy to finally be drawing nasty crates now. Nah, I love what I'm doing. Okay, let's see. Should you have rough or fully rendered stuff, or both for a character designer? Have both. Have them all. Like you could do start with like the final piece. And then immediately, I love seeing when you have like this amazing, lovely rendered piece, and then it goes straight into like the rough and the like super, like wow. Or even when it's like so different looking at the start, I love like looking through the process, like how you got there. Like that's for me, it's all about the process. Like, and sometimes you'll be looking through and you'll see like some of the other ideas they had, and you'll be like, oh no way. Or sometimes you're like, no, I should have went with that one. But it's great to see that, and especially if someone's going to be joining your team, you'll be like, oh, they have a nice variety of ideas here, like this is great. Yeah, like if I think you can still show the process for sure. Yeah, I'm like I feel like such a hack, you know, with all this, like I just scroll through like, well, one looks nice, this looks nice, I'll do this, like. Okay, sorry, I got to jump back to my pencil. I love the pencil on here. It's the standard brush in Procreate. I do get the brush question a lot, which I'm happy to answer, because I think brushes are super important. I think you can feel better. You know, like when you're wearing nice clothes, you just kind of feel better about yourself that day. I think it's the same with brushes. Like you can, when you're using a brush that you just gel with, like I think it helps. So I'm all for everyone asking what brush, and then I can just be like, it's a standard one. I'm 40 in terms of the age. I mean, I'm nearly 38. Like, it is a weird thing about age in this industry, but like, concept art wise, I don't think that has any problem. Like, we're all sat behind screens anyway right now, and in general. But I've definitely worked around a lot of young people, and I've been the young person too a long time ago. Like, I think there's no bad time to do it. Like, I only would say I finally got into my dream job when I was like 34, something like that. No, maybe a little bit younger than that, but still, like, it doesn't matter. There's no, like, the 30 under 30 puts a lot of pressure on people. I think it's unfair. But like, yeah, we've had artists join at the company in their 40s, like, it's totally fine. And I mean, it's also always worth noting, like, you don't always get your dream job when you're young, sadly. But I mean, I know we've got the case examples out there of like just these amazing young artists, and like, good on them. Like, it's always funny when you're on there and they're like, upcoming new artists, look at this, age 5, and you're like, oh god, like, it's so good. But I mean, that's just how things go, you know. I don't mind. Like, I'm all for seeing all new artists and stuff. I'll just retire to the island, become a hermit, or live in a shed or something. I've got to get the face. Ah, this is face. Right. Cat Island. Oh, the dream. The Vancouver Island, maybe. I don't know. I'm just reading, sorry. Someone told you in terms of game artists will end when you're 30. No. Yeah, that's it's not true at all. I mean, like, people's careers can start super young, they can start older. Like, there's just no, I don't think there's any age limit. I had like, my mum was amazing. Like, she was always so super supportive of everything, for getting into games. Like, yeah. And I had an older mum as well, and she was just like, go for it. She loved video games. She didn't play any, sadly, but she loved Final Fantasy games a lot. Oh, here's an Undertale. Yeah, she loved Sephiroth. She loved his hair. I always love that she loved his hair. I don't know why it's. I'm 24 and I feel like I'm gonna get nowhere. No, you will. So young. That's when I first started. That's when I was doing starting my QA. No, yeah, don't worry about it. You'll get there. But like, a super important thing to know, and it's hard. It's easy to say, like, oh, just don't worry about what everyone's doing around you. It's hard, you know, to like not compare and everything. But everyone goes at their own pace. Why is this not working? What's happening? Oh. Yeah, like, sometimes don't worry what everyone's doing online. Like, you'll get there. It is stressful though. It's hard not to. I get it. You know, for me, it's always it's always seeing like someone age 3 like just did this super rendered amazing, and they made their own game, just them on their own. Like, oh my god. But that's just how it goes. Did I have to move a lot? Yeah. At the time, there wasn't much in London, which sounds crazy, you know, like now there are, but I moved to Germany for work. I'm glad I did, and then I moved to Canada, like, yeah, I think that, I should have said that on the stream, the main one. Like, yeah, be prepared to maybe move a lot, like that's my main sadness comes from not living near my sister, and my friends back home, family. But I don't know, it's so weird now though, because technically, especially with COVID, like you can work from anywhere, technically you always could, but like in terms of working in a production on games especially, having people within a certain time zone helps. Like we've got someone over in Montreal, and that's like a 3-hour difference, I think, but like that's like acceptable. But I think, yeah, if they're in Australia it can be a bit harder. I don't know. I think it's rude to ask people you don't personally know, but really admire for feedback online. If it's small feedback, because I get a lot of people on, weirdly enough, only Instagram, ask me for feedback. I think one of the main things I would say for all of that is also be really nice about it, and if they give feedback, even if it's not what you're wanting to hear, just be like, okay, thanks, cheers. I've given feedback. I generally give feedback to people as long as it's nothing too big, but always like, please follow up. Like the amount of people I've given feedback and then get nothing. I think once I had a thumbs up from someone and I was just like, oh, is that it? Like I'd posted like a few paragraphs. It's actually why I keep meaning to make like a document where, like, when it's this time where I guess like a lot of teachers ask students to like go out and ask industry people all these questions, and it's always like, I've got, like, if you're going to ask questions, first of all I would say limit it to 3, max 5. Keep it small because people don't have time. But like the worst thing is when you reply to all this and then you get like no response back. I think that's incredibly rude, and I've flipping noted the names of all those people that have done that. If they ever reply, I don't know. And I don't. It's hard not to compare online. I follow so many artists that I compare actually, and I'm just like, I'm a hack. I don't know how I got here. Someone's good. Someone will find out. They will find out, and when they do, I will be kicked out of art Twitter and laughed at, and then never spoken to again. It never leaves you, I've got to say. Like the crazy stays. But I think there's coming to terms with it as well. Like you just got to accept. I kind of like it. Keeps me a little bit on my toes, like a little bit crazy, and like wanting to improve stuff. I think I'd seen a comment earlier about keeping inspired, and my inspiration is usually always it's not games, actually, as much as I love playing them. I do love playing games. Is elsewhere, which is probably fairly obvious, but like I know it's a bit harder with Corona, but like getting out and walking, like even just walking around the block, huge help. Like sometimes just being away from the screen, thinking things over. Just like looking at games, because it's like a bubble, it'd be whatever industry you're in. If you're only looking at what someone else has done, it's kind of like regurgitating the same ideas. Like you want to get inspiration from completely unrelated stuff. And even then, like if you're knitting, I used to love knitting, you're just sitting there like thinking away, like just stuff comes to mind. It's like nice to take a break from things. Like I love riding a motorbike, and you have to be like, I don't know, like getting out into different environments, like doing like a completely different skill, like cooking, like baking, all these things. Like it doesn't have to be like learning a whole new, like, and becoming the best at it. Like it's great to have lots of things that you I'm not so great at, because I am not a great cook. That's 100%. But I really enjoy doing it. I enjoy baking. My sister's amazing. I'm always a bit upset, Asti, that she got super into baking when I moved away, because I would have been a happy test subject for all of that. But like, yeah, just having other interests super help. That's why like the coffee crew that I draw, they're all into foods, because I'm super into foods, and especially that's why like it will never take off completely. It couldn't be for kids, because it's like, let's have sugar. Come on, kids, let's have donuts and croissants, and you know, it's not the healthiest. But it's like, I like drawing it. It's like purely for me. That's I'm glad that people like it. Yeah, just have fun. Am I still playing Destiny 2? I'm about to, because that new update's coming very soon. I haven't played it in a little bit, and I fell off because this time last year, like Iceborne came out on PS4 and then PC later, and I just got sucked into that completely. Monster Hunter Iceborne. Yeah. I would leave the website. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I still have, I have my top quality stuff on my website, and like for anyone that wants to follow along, like Instagram is where I'll have all my just latest drawings. But like sketches like this, and this isn't really, my main work. This is just my fun stuff. But like for fully like rendered images, everything like that, I keep it all on the website, and every so often I might update that. Yeah, keep everything updated. That's important. I should do some little hearts. Oh! No. There's my sketching brush. My Procreate's becoming just like my Photoshop. There's just like too many brushes, and I use 2 brushes. That's all I use, 2 brushes, and I got all these other ones. But you never know. One of these days I'm gonna need those chain brushes. The grass. I mean, I know that I know people use them. That's just me. I might just have a little play around, just one more little thing. I always like just throwing it. Recently, I've just gotten a bit more like sketchy and random stuff. I'm gonna try blue layer now. Let's just see what happens. Phil. All right, Phil. All right. Just fun. It's just fun. This is like purely just playing around. You never know what you might find. I'm not feeling any of this, I gotta say. Ooh. Sometimes, because I've had it recently where I've seen some things, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool actually. I feel like that's how all this artwork comes about though. And then, what brush? I don't know what I'm using for this. Whoa. 9. Oh. I have drawn Dragon Quest fan art actually. I drew a slime from that movie. There's such a fantastic shot in there where the little slime gets dressed up as the main character, and this monster I was chasing after, and then it thinks it's the main guy, and then the head turns around and it's the slime dressed up, and it's like my favourite shot in the entire movie. It's so good. I've also drawn Dragon Quest V, which is my favourite. The main guy and his cat, big lion cat in there. Yeah, do you know what? Making a group for brushes would be the smart thing to do, as opposed to constantly scrolling through everything. But you never know. Yeah, in my head, I'm like, that's such a good idea. I'm definitely going to do that, and then I never end up doing it. Are there any members of the coffee crew I haven't met yet? Hopefully one of these days. I know I'm gonna make like an art book. I'm gonna put all it, but I've been drawing it for like 5 years. Like the idea of like collecting all of this artwork. There definitely will be like, of all the controversy and everything with Inktober. Inktober has always been where I've like developed characters, because I just enjoy like. There's something about drawing on paper as well. Like I'll just do whatever. Like it feels I go more free on paper. Don't ask why, no idea. But 100%, I would love to. One of these months, I just like should do like I'm just going to draw a new character every day. I think that would be, well, not every day, you know, as much as I can. It'll be fun to just do that, and then I mean that's how all my Coffee Crew characters have come about. Because I think it was March of Robots they do in March, and that's how Cupperbot came about. I haven't done that in a while though. It gets, yeah, it's a lot, you know. It's super tiring, especially when you're working and you want to relax at the end of the day. But like, you know, if I do Inktober this year or something, just keep it super easy. Like in the past years, I've been like this epic storyline and trying to like work it all out before. But there's a different year, you know. I'm a little tired. Had surgery like a week ago, so I'm getting better. I mean, I'm way better now. Main thing is my appetite's back, which, why do you like to draw food? I love food. I really like food, especially like the unhealthy food, but I definitely, I exercise a lot usually when I haven't had surgery. I run a lot. I try and run like a 10K every other day, and cycle. And do a bit of ring fit, good old ring fit. Although I feel like I'm doing something wrong. I'm not sweating enough in ring fit. I don't know. Exercise is super important to me. It feels better because I know that the rest of the day is going to be sat on my big bum. So I like to just do a bit of exercise. Although I've broken my arm from running. I broke my arm from running. You know, like I tripped over in the middle, a sunny day, no rain, no ice, and just landed up. I thought, don't hurt the drawing hand. I'm left-handed, so like as I was falling, I just decided to like just land like poof, like that, and just complete clean break, great clean break. But yeah, I broke that arm, which I remember thinking, well, it's okay that I broke the right arm because I'm left-handed anyway. But then you forget, like, especially for your job, how many shortcuts you use with your other hand. And so I'd be like leaning so close to the keyboard with like my fingers kind of sticking out of the sling, trying to like tap. Yeah, it was not as easy as I thought it would be. So try not to break your arm is the main thing here. Okay, just because I'm staying on, I'm just going to keep doing silly things. I can make this a print. I don't push like that I have prints enough. Prints of the prints. I saw someone post on Twitter, it was really weird, that they're walking around in LA and they found a print of my Link and Pikachu picture in a tree. I can't tell if this guy's joking or not, but he said he found it, and then he was like, okay, I need to search for who the artist is. And then he found me a little bit later, and I have no idea what happened there. Like, in my head, like, because I go instantly to the panic, I'm a bad artist. I'm like, someone bought the print, they didn't like it, and they just discarded it, and they left it on this tree. But it can't be right. I don't know. I have no idea. It's so weird. How did this happen? It's very bizarre. But I can put up. Well, it's more like if anyone asks, I can put a picture on there. 'Cause I just put it on imprint. Like, I would love to be able to handle all this myself, but first of all, I don't have a printer, which would be a start. And I don't know. I think that's more for like a freelance thing, like running your own shop and you know, maybe one day. Oh, I like that. Maybe I'll do some stuff. If I kept like the background, because I could make him white behind. No, I'm just talking to myself. One sec. Because I've been doing a load of these where I'll draw like white behind him. No, I don't know. I've worked for Cartoon Network, done some freelance, a little bit for Nickelodeon. It's very tight schedules, a lot of that. The animation industry is very different. They run way faster, way tighter. How Square Enix, the company, environment and culture, it's different. I don't know, because like it was a QA in the marketing department in London, so I can't really say. I wouldn't know what it'd be like from a main development part. But I remember the Japanese side was all in the marketing. They were super nice there. And I remember on my last day, they had like a massive beanbag that was a slime, and I remember just thinking, if I get my sister to stand outside, I wonder if I can like get this thing up and squeeze it out through the window and get her to catch it at the bottom. I basically wanted to steal it. I didn't though in the end. I really, really wanted that slime beanbag though. It was amazing. It was so happy looking. And it had all this like Tetsuya Nomura artwork on the walls. Who's like, he's now like the director and everything, but I loved his art so much. It was cool. It was cool. QA is different, I'd say, but I would say like working in games, it's never what you think it is. Especially testing, people was like, oh, you just sit and play games all day, but there's actually a lot more to it. It can be actually really tiring. Leave prints around Seattle. Gosh. Oh, they gave a tracking number? Oh, I have no idea they did that. I have ordered it from Imprint though, although it was a while ago. It was an Animal Crossing print. I'm forgetting the guy's name. Kevin. I want to say Station, but it's not Station. Stanton? Oh, I can't remember. It is fantastic. It's right. I can see it. I can't set the camera on. It's right up there. Oh my god! The music finish. What the? I actually went. Oh wow! It's because I've been talking for so long. Look, you can see. Oh, you can't see this. I'm just going to throw this on while it's going. I have my Zelda and chill music. What are the difference between animation and video game? It's just deadlines in animation. So much, so fast. That's why I knew I wasn't cut out for it, I guess. I mean, I never, to be honest, I didn't even know years ago that was a thing. You could like work in. I've always loved video games, like, and never even considered. It sounds weird. I just never really thought about it. I just love my video games. I hope to be an old lady working in video games. Not enough old ladies, but I mean, it's such a new industry, relatively. You know, that's why it's slowly getting there with having old people in the industry. But yeah, I want to be one of the first old ladies in video games. And someone could say I'm already there. Aha. But yeah, I think it'd be fun. I want to be like gamer granny, and I know they have those on like Twitch and everything. I think it's great. I love when I see that. Because why not? Everyone loves games, you know, or everyone can love games. Like, there's no age limit for it all. Do I play Kingdom Hearts? I played 1 and 2. I didn't play 3. I would need like such a catch up on all of that. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's yeah. I know, like, I listened to a podcast of someone talking about it, and I was so confused with everything. Any plans to do more art streams? Yeah, I can do if you want. I don't know, like, because I feel like I don't draw enough on. Just end up chatting a load. I'd be happy to do some more. They'll never be. I'll never have a fixed schedule. It'll just be like, maybe I'll work out the day before or something. I think I'll draw tomorrow if anyone wants to, you know. Just because I still really, really value my time away from the screen. I guess I'm one of those people that can get terrible migraines. I know it comes from too much screen time. I don't actually. I've been tested for glass centering. I don't need them still. It's only a matter of time. I remember really wanting though. I wore some glasses for a bit, and like, yeah, the optician was like, you just don't need them. Like, you will need them if you keep wearing these all the time. Yeah. Do you think it's easier to approach indie studios or AAA? I think is so different. It's so different because with indie, you got to remember that you'll be drawing a lot of what's actually in the game. Like with AAA, like especially concept art, that's it. It's concept art. It doesn't go in the game. Whereas indie, like, yeah, for Darkest Dungeon, I'm literally drawing assets that are then put into the game, and that's it. So you concept it, which is different. Then you clean it up, do it in the style of the game, and yeah, it's kind of weird. I personally, I think if I was trying to get into games now, which I probably should have said earlier, I would try and go in through the indie route, or like mobile gaming too, like the mobile gaming as well. Like your artwork will become an asset in the game. AAA is a very different thing. It's interesting actually. I mean, it's always super fun when you hand your stuff to a 3D modeler and then they make it into a 3D model. Like, wow, this is so cool. But yeah, I think it all depends on what you are after, like what you want to do. I personally, I think I can't tell you, I can't really say, but I think it would be easier to get in indie games. But indie games are much smaller, and often they are formed from a group of friends or a group of colleagues that work somewhere else together. So yeah, weirdly enough, like joining Red Hook, Darkest Dungeon, everyone on there had all worked together before, were friends before. I was the first person, I guess, that kind of came in that hadn't worked with any of them before. I mean, like now as the company got bigger, that's become more common, but yeah, it's interesting actually. Skyrim grandma, oh I bet I'd love that actually. Just to be sure on Lady T profile you post like, I do make landscapes, I just don't draw them as much in my free time. I do actually sketch a load of stuff that doesn't go on social media anywhere. Like drawing cups, I draw a lot of little random little things around the apartment, and they're super quick. Like that's for me, like it's almost like training, you know. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I guess I should probably go because I've been I've been online nearly 2 hours. I've got like a lovely steamed bun from mate Jen sitting over there that I want to eat. And this is recorded. I know we'll go on Twitch, and I have a YouTube channel that I'll upload it to as well. I don't know how it works. Like, is this too long? Yeah, like I'll definitely be on Twitch for whatever time that they keep stuff on there. Yeah, thank you so much everyone for watching and for asking any questions. It's been super fun. I can't believe I managed to stay on another hour. That's all that happens. I end up just like chatting. I'm very happy to just chat away, really. Maybe I'll do some more stuff to this picture. I still get a little nervous with people watching me on here, but thank you very, very much, everyone. Yeah, I'll try and stream again. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening in. Okay, bye bye.